and welcome back actually to my channel. Harland is here for another episode of the Alpha Chronicles, where we will be looking at the strategies and rules to apply to optimize the use of skill point and get maximal values from the ships that you will be flying and piloting. As you know, Alpha clones get the lowest amount of skill point per time unit, and so it is really important that you keep focus on what matters. Otherwise, if you try to disperse, you will get to very suboptimal builds for your ships and very low performance in game. So to start with, the equation has basically two dimensions, and you can take it from one hand or the other. It doesn't really matter. It will land you into the same principles and the same approach. So either you know exactly what kind of weapons you want to use in game. You want to fly drone ships or laser based ships, and that will condition the factions that you will be flying from. So lasers would be Amar. If you're a drone pilot, that would be Amar again, or Galente, and so on and so on. If you are fixed with that approach, then it becomes very easy to look at what are the ships that are available in that category, and then make a 3-pass and looking at what will be your first frigate, and then potentially a destroyer, and then to a cruiser size vessel. Second really important asset is to determine what will be the ship size that you want to fly for endgame content. If you want to be a destroyer pilot, well, basically you can already, and you can already focus on the destroyer specific skills. If you know that you want to be a cruise pilot, then it means that frigates and destroyer will be only intermediate steps that you will fly through until you get access to decent cruisers. And so potentially you will refrain from training the associated skill to the max value, because you want to save the skill point for skills which will be better fitted for a cruiser. Okay, so that is really the approach. Either you know the weapon type, and from that everything will cascade, or you know the faction, the ship line that you want to fly. You want to fly Amar ships, you want to fly Galente ship, or whatever, and then again the skills that you will need to develop and train will be falling in place very naturally. So let's take an example. Let's see that you want to be laser pilot, and so you go to the ship 3, to the Amar Empire, because this is the only factions that make best use of laser weapons. Doesn't mean that your ship cannot use them, but you will not benefit from the intrinsic bonuses that the ship will provide. Let's look at the executioner frigate, and then you see directly that on your ship you get roll bonus, which are basically stuff that you will get just for flying the ship. Okay, so you don't need to train anything, to skill anything. You up on the ship and you get those bonuses. And then you will see that associated to the ships there will be bonuses per skill level. In this case, for example, every level of afterburner that you will get will grant you 10% additional velocity. So it will make this ship exceedingly fast. If you get the afterburner maxed out to 5, it means 50% more speed, so will lend you to a speed tank approach, but that is something that we will delve into another episode. And next to that, you will see that the frigate command bonus will give you an additional 12% small laser damage. So scaling up to 5 will get you 60% more damage output of your laser gun. So if you want to fly that ship, you know exactly that frigate command will be important, and afterburner will be important skills that you will need to max out, because then your ship will be sort of optimal in what you can achieve just based on the on the bonus provided. It doesn't mean that you don't need to train anything else. Of course, if you're flying frigate, anything that boosts your frigate, like the engineering skills and so on, will be useful, and we'll get to that in a moment. But specifically for that ship, those are the bonuses. Same if I pick up, let's say, a destroyer class courser, you will see that you get a roll bonus, flat increase in your laser optimal range, and then for the small laser operation, again you will get some useful stuff, and from the destroyer command you will get an additional armor which make your ship a bit more tanky. So those are really the things that you need to keep in mind. Whatever you're set on the weapon type or the ship, basically it's really the ship that will drive. You can then see which are the skills that you need to specifically focus on for that ship. Okay, so that is really the first step for me, and that is applicable whatever the weapon type or the ships that you fancy. Let's say you want to go for well, not the trainer but the mauler. For the mauler, well, operation, armor operation, sorry, will be important, and the cruiser command will be important as well. Give you additional bonus to your damage, reducing the capacitor need for the medium laser, which is nice. Means you can stay longer in fight, and the armor resistance will make you more tanky over the board, taking less damage from incoming missiles, bullets, cannon shells, or whatever weapon types you're being fired upon. Okay, so first, really focusing on the ships, and be aware of what is the ship class that you want to fly. You want to be a frigate pilot, you want to be a destroyer pilot, or you want to be a cruiser pilot. I'm not talking about the battle cruisers, because even though we as Alpha Clone are entitled to use vessel up to tier 7, when you look at the battle cruiser, basically they will go outside of their role bonus. They will provide bonuses with only the advanced skill, which are not available for Alpha Clone. So going to a battle cruiser size might not be a good idea, because you will miss out most of the value that the ship hull will provide. The same goes with the smaller ship. When you look, for example, here at the frigate, Punisher Assault, then you see again the skills that you need to max out the benefit of the hull are bound to advanced version of the skills, which means that for an Alpha Clone this is not something that you will be looking at, but we will delve in that specific aspect when we look at the different weapon type and associated ships that you can really fly and max out as an Alpha pilot. You can technically fly it, but you will be on a very subpar configuration compared to the others. And when you look at the Tech 7 destroyer, which is a drone ship, the Dragoon Assault, there again you see that to get the benefit of the drone DPS you need the advanced skill, which are not available for the Alpha Clone. So basically you can already scrap out everything more or less at the tier 7 level for the ships, because most of the time I don't remember any of the ship which could be really useful and where it doesn't require at minima advanced skills to operate at full potential. So pay attention to that. Whenever you like a ship, take a look at the associated skill bonuses, because as you progress and you reach tech level 5 and 6, advanced skills will pop up in the ship's profile, and that will severely limit the usefulness of the hull for an Alpha Clone. I'm taking here a direct direction toward combat pilot. Of course, if you are into mining or into hauling, that is a completely different perspective. The approach is the same, but we need to look at the different ships to see whether the lack of the advanced version would really impair your activity in mining and or owning, but that again will be dedicated tutorials and videos for that. So now let's go back to more specific skill sections and see what is really useful and what can be skipped or should be skipped in terms of skills. Whenever you look at the skills, so if you remember, we already discussed about what the ships requires in terms of training, what would be needed in terms of ship class, but then you need to really look out at the big pictures and see, okay, what does that skill really impact? And you have skills that will globally impact your characters. It will give you additional values because it will be available for you all time, every time. There are skills that will affect whatever ship class, whatever it be a frigate or a cruiser or destroyers. That is a skill that will be applicable to it, and that is something which will again generate a lot of value for you. It's something which you may consider upskilling because it is part of the strategy, or because it will be helpful whatever you decide later on in game. You don't need to remove that skill and train something else. There are then skills which will be class specific, cruisers, destroyers or frigate specific. So those bring a bit less value because they will be associated to the specific class. And then there are skills which will be very specific, a weapon class or something that will be required from your hull just to optimize. And that is the value you need to see in terms of decreasing order to make sure that you maximize what you can do with your skill points and skill point generation. So if we move from right to left, and I do that in order because basically on the right hand side this is something that will affect more as your clone and the ability that your clone can do, and the left hand side is more linked to the ship capabilities, and this is where we have potentially a little more to discuss. So natural science, planetology. Planetology is something that you should max out to 5. There are 2 reasons for that. The first one is if you are not into indie or shipbuilding, anyway, this is 3 ISKs. Okay, so you select the planets based on the material they produce. You select them based on the highest value that you can get from the market, and you place your assets there. You select 2 planets because that's the maximum you can have. You have 2 planets and 6 arrays that you can have at level 5. You generate the materials, you collect them, and then you sell it for profit, just to buy weapons or rigs or ship's hulls or whatever you fancy. If you are more into shipbuildings anyway, then you will need the material. The only drawback for alpha clones is that we're limited to 2 planets. So if you're really into building your own ship, most likely you will have to rotate a bit, and so get some planets until you have sufficient material of that type to build the ships that you want, and then remove the arrays and place them on the planet just to make up for the next material. Advanced and expert, well, you can do nothing about it. Biology. So biology, those are the ships that you can buy either with real money or with Plex on the market and ISK. And basically I would say for an alpha clone, if you can spare the 60 million for the first level cognitive neuroscience very early on, that may prove useful. Okay, so I know it's a lot of money. 60 million give you a 5 skill points, 5 additional skill points compared to the 30 that you're making. So it will put you on par with a standard Omega in terms of skill point generation. So it is useful. So either if you have the cash to do it or you have the ISK to do it, the first level could be good. Advanced and expert, not sure that an alpha can actually use them, because the clone I'm using for this video, I unfortunately need to maintain it as an Omega, else my main skill tree will just forbid this character to progress anytime, because the the skill chain are linked, and so you have a maximum capacity, and it means that I would have to stop training skills on my main, which is something that I do not want. So if we move one to the left, this is the applied science. Applied science you can basically ignore. You can go for up to level 5 in the basics invention principle of every faction, but that will not provide you any meaningful and any high chance of success for reverse engineering. Maybe for frigates, but for destroyers and cruiser you may end up with very low numbers, and so it will not be worth the shot reverse engineering on your own, but about the blueprint on the market it will be cheaper. I will scale it up eventually, make a video just to show you exactly what you can achieve with that, but for a starter I would completely avoid spending any skill point into applied science. Social science, cooperation management, only if you want to be a corp leader. That will be required, as it will help you expand the size of your corporation, and the same for the alliance management will help you move up in terms of how many corporations you can have in the alliance. But I don't think that for an alpha clone necessarily that would be the best investment in the trade. Same. The trade skill is simply there to get you more orders on the market, not necessarily useful. Accounting will get you a maximum of 1% reduction in terms of broker's fee or sale tax. Not really impactful, and anyway you get a free skill chip through the advanced quest to get them to level 3. So I don't think this is worth investing anymore. And the freight, unless you're really looking at being a hauler, this is something that will not be useful. It only impacts your delivering fee or the insurance or the number of requests that you can handle at a time. So really very specific for people wanting to get into hauling. So again, this is not something that I would put on high priority unless this is your stuff in game. Production. So production, mixed feeling here again. So you can train for every chip size up to the basic level 5. It will reduce the cost of building on yourself. So that's just a matter of, do you want to buy the hull on the market or do you want to build themselves and then mine the material, refine them, and that will condition then the mining skills and the resource processing skills that you may invest in. But this is something that is viable. Don't expect to make a lot of profit, because compared to an Omega clone, which can move into the advanced and expert level, you will be at a competitive disadvantage because they will be using far less materials, and so they can push much lower price and still make a profit compared to you. But if you're more into building your own ships, personal use rather than for selling, this is something that you can certainly consider. Just be careful and choose wisely in terms of what are the ships that you want to fly on the long term, and start investing in those first. Mining, so I will do a dedicated video again on mining as well. This is something that you can certainly consider, both the mining and the strip mining. So the mining is for the venture. Basically you need to lock on an asteroid and a rock to mine it progressively, whereas for strip mining you just land your ship in the middle of the fields and it will randomly mine everything that is in range. So a bit of a different approach, but this is something that you can invest on. You can still make a decent profit out of it, and I think this is where an alpha can maybe not compete with an omega, but still make a decent living out of the mining. And then same goes for the ore reprocessing. So if you are really in the incline and you want to be self-sufficient producing your ship, well, getting some point into mining and getting some point into resource reprocessing will make you more efficient. So it means you will get more ore per a cycle in mining and then get more minerals from your ore when reprocessing. So this is something that is really worthwhile mentioning. Weapons. So weapons, as I said, are highly linked to what kind of ships you will want. As I said, could be one way or the other. You choose the ships and then the weapon will fall in naturally, or you choose the weapon and the ships will fall in there as well. So again, you can only move to the basic levels and the basic upgrade for the ships. So I would say you're fairly independent, so you could move from laser for the smalls and move from missiles from medium because you want to try something else. They will not impact as much. Whereas when you look for the advanced version of it, you see that, for example, here investing into the advanced get you the heatsink activation time of +2 seconds. So it means that this will be cumulative. So when you skill the advanced small and then the advanced medium and then the advanced large, you will get an additional heatsink activation time cumulated, and so it means that your heatsink will get more and more value out of its activation cycle. So this is where, unfortunately for us alphas, we are very much limited. So the principle goes for all the skills. The only point that I would draw your attention to is for drones, where you have an additional skill called drone, which basically give you control range 5 kilometers, which is very nice. Okay, so it will really enable you to do range kiting with the ships, and increase as well the number of drones that you can simultaneously control, up to a maximum of 5 in there. As you can see, this is already maxed out for me because I believe drones are the best DPS and the best ship for PvE operations. Moving from weapon technology to electronics. So electronics engineering is really a must-have once you have decided what kind of ships you want. So as I said before, this is class specific. So you have for frigate, you have for destroyer, you have for the cruiser size. Basically what it will give you here is capacitor, power grids, and well, a small reduction for capacitor need for warping out. This is the less useful, but getting additional capacitor and additional power grid mean you can fit more modules, and means that in terms of module selections and rig selections, you can potentially skip an additional battery just to make you cap stable or get the additional length in battle, or the same for the internals. You can reduce maybe the cost on the module that give you additional either capacitor capacity or head generation of your capacitor. So the engineering skill is a very strong one, and I would advise, until you are fixed on the skill that you want, that you move directly to level 5. That will not be a waste. And that is something of a general comment. If you are on the let's say interim, you're not sure, or you know it's just a transition to something else, just go for level 4. Level 4 is fairly easy, fairly rapid, couple of hours, couple of days max, and it will dish out good value for the investment. Whereas the level 5 is usually the most lengthy in time, and it's not always warranted. But you see here, for all of the main classes that I can fly, I went to level 5, and I'm even training the battle cruiser, and I will explain in a later episode why this is so. Electronic system, that's more for PvPers, so it will get you bonuses to your scramblers and signal jammers, or propulsion jamming. So it's more of a I would say more of a type of play rather than anything else. But again, those skills, they are not ship class specific, so it will affect whatever ship you're flying. As soon as you have some form of webify, scramblers, or whatever, those will be more effective. So those skills can be very useful because on strain it will apply to every class ship that you have. Target management level 5 is a must, okay, because this will affect the number of target that you can have simultaneously locked. So you get a +3, maximum of 5. This is really useful. It will also increase your scan resolution, so the speed at which you will be locking your target. So this, whatever the ship class you will be flying, this is really a must to push it to level 5 very rapidly indeed. And fleet support is not yet available in game. Shield operation, armor operation, so basically they operate on the same level. It's just a matter of selecting whether you're flying a shield tank or an armor tank, and then you can again go and specialize in that. At the moment, in the current meta, shield is better than armor, unfortunately, as I'm an armor tank more or less on my main, but this is the state of the game, and shield is better than armor tanking at the moment. And so you need to train on, and it's the same for the armor. You have the shield operation, the hardeners will simply accelerate the cycle time and give you a boost in terms of reducing your capacitor need for the activation, as you can see here on the screen. Hardener operate on the same level, and don't forget the remote shield operation that can be useful as well, because if you place one of those modules on your mid slot for rigging your ship, it can help as well, either removing a shield or an armor booster, or and pushing then and releasing a low slot instead of the mid slot that the remote will be occupying. So can be something of either a balance element in between a mid slot, which can be sometimes less useful for your ship, and so you can max out the use of your mid slot and releasing a low slot, or if you want to have both, and then you increase your tankiness and your active tanking capabilities in there. Defense upgrade is a must. It's the same as for the engineering. Once you're fixed on your ship class, move it to level 5 as fast as you can. It will basically give you additional hit points in terms of shield, armor and structure. So it will make your ship more enduring in there. So this is really useful and applicable to all ship of that class. So again, something that I would really consider. The frigate command. So the command, basically, this is not something that I would have recommended, because the bonuses that they provide is not so interesting. So you get a bit more velocity and an inertia modifier, meaning your ship is more nimble. Unfortunately, most of the ship will require you to max out the commands to benefit from the shield, the ship's hull bonuses themselves. So that's why they become very critical, because they will get you additional DPS out of your weapon type or additional bonuses in there. So really useful as well to max them out. Again, do it once you are fixed. If you're not sure, you start with frigate, you push it to 4, then you move to destroyer, push it to 4, then cruiser, push it to 4, and already you get a very decent boost to your ship capabilities. And once you decide and make the final call on what you want to fly, you move up to the level 5. In terms of navigation, those are again skills that are across ship class, so it's very useful. It will max out either the afterburner or the micro warp drive operation. So for anything that is looking at the speed tanking, this is really skills that you need to max out, as it will both reduce your capacitor need, the activation time, and get you additional velocity. So it means more speed and less cap usage for you using either afterburner or the micro warp drive operation. That is the same. The engine operation, personally, I find it a bit less useful because it affects only your walk or stabilizers. And to be honest, this is something that I'm only using on minor dedicated for low sec or null sec operation, when there is a risk of me getting scrambled and I need to escape by having a large number of active core stabilizers to get above and beyond what the enemy scrambler's value is. So that is something that I would certainly leave out for a starter and just concentrate on the micro warp drive and the afterburner, because most of the frigates and some of the destroyer you will run them as a speed tank, and so this is really useful. And that basically concludes the review of the different skills, so you get a better ideas of the overarching strategy and how to select and apply and focus. The real motto is focus. Get a hull, max out the dedicated skills that max out the ship's bonuses, then look at the ship class and max out, or at least go as far as you think you could in terms of that ship class, engineering, and the resistance one, and then look at the weapon type that you want to put in there and move out forward with those skills. But keep the focus and don't disperse. Once you've decided you want to play that coercer that we looked at, then go and focus on the skills that will make that ship the most value. And this is where the game will be more fun for you, and you will be more efficient in terms of farming the PvE encounters, and so making more ISK per hour, which will basically lead you to getting better modules or better ship hulls and moving forward into the game. So thumbs up if you like the content. Don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified of any new video that would be coming. And please feel free as well to leave a comments in the section, either helping me to increase the video quality, or if you want me to address a specific topic, or if you disagree to some of the stuff that I said in this video. I'm fairly open to constructive dialogue and improving the quality of the material that I put at the disposal in this channel. In the meantime, fly safe and enjoy Eve Ecos.